Hey guys, Jaybird here, and today we're going to be continuing off our tutorial for porting weapons, and this one's going to be covering the sounds aspect of the tutorial. So, the first thing I'm going to go over is going to be adding note tracks to our animations, and that's going to be through APE, not through an actual note track file. There's a couple of ways that you can add note tracks, but I will be doing this way because I feel that it's the most simple and easiest way to add them. The next thing I'm going to go over is basically the format that your sounds need to be in and where they need to be located so that the game knows how to connect them into your mod and convert them so that the mod will have them included. And then the last thing I'm going to go over is setting up the sound alias and making it so that your own custom sound alias is being called by your map, and then finally adding the sounds into the gun so that when you play your map, your gun is now using those sounds. Alright guys, let's jump in it. Okay, so I'm back in our Maya rig. So this is the one that we were dragging the animations on that we saved. So the reason why I'm back in here is so we can get an idea of where we want the sounds to be played. Usually there's sounds when the mag comes out. There's usually a futz sound, they call it, and that's when the mag kind of doesn't quite go in, but they kind of place it in the spot. Then there's the mag in sound, and then usually a rechamber sound. So we're just going to go through the anims and get those sounds prepared. Sometimes you will know these note tracks already, but this will be a way to kind of visualize and get an idea of how to do this if you don't know. So what I'm going to do is the main ones that we're probably going to have to look into are first raise, reload, and reload empty. So I'll do first raise first because those are going to be the ones that have the sounds. Fire we don't really need to worry about because that's done in the weapon file. So you'll notice basically if I go through the frames here, hands are a little messed up here, but don't worry about that. The bolt starts moving back at frame 26 is when it starts moving. So what I'm going to do is go back into APE and go to the first raise anim that we set up before, and I'm going to come down to where it says note tracks, and you can do this all in APE now, which is awesome. You don't have to do a separate file or include them in the anims. But basically, I'm going to show you two things. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do in here off a note track, but what I'm going to do is two types. So we're going to do a sound and a rumble. So the rumble's for people who play controllers. I like to do it because I'm a console player myself, but that's up to you. So we were on frame 26, and for bolt vibrations, I like to go with reload small. And then we're also going to do another note track, which is going to be sound on the exact same frame, 26. And we're going to do, basically, I'm just going to call this weapon, Galil, bolt, back. Okay, and then we're going to look for the next one. So there should be a point where he lets go and it goes forward, which is right here on frame 34. So we're going to do the same thing. This one I'm only going to do the sound. I'm not actually going to do the vibration because that's going to be too quick of a vibration between them. So I'm just going to go sound, frame 39, I believe it's 39. Yep. And this one we're going to call weapon, Galil, bolt, forward. So you can name these whatever you want as long as it's named the same thing in the sound alias. Keep in mind, bone I believe is going to be where the sound is played off of, but it's whatever, not really a big deal. An existing note, not quite sure what this does to be honest, but I leave this blank. It's just the sound alias is what you're going to want to do that. So I'm going to save this one, and we're going to move on to the reload. So that's really easy. We're already done that, and my APE is frozen for some reason. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to reload this scene again. So desktop, Galil rig, don't save it. And then we're going to be doing the reload anim next, so I'll drag that on. So this one's going to have a few more notes than the other one. So we're going to go in, he grabs the mag, and at frame 21 is where I'm going to add a note track. So this one I'm going to do reload, or the rumble one. And for these ones I like to do reload medium, although if it's a pistol I'd probably do reload small, and in a LMG maybe reload large or something, depending on what you want it to be. What was it? It was frame 21. So we're going to do the same thing with the sound. So sound, frame 21, weapon, Galil, mag, out. So now we're going to go back to the Maya scene. We're going to keep watching, kind of skim through this. And I'm just clicking here and dragging, really. So this is the futz right there, where he placed it in and it's just kind of sitting there for a second. Or I guess it's her, the view arms are. So I'm going to do 61. Is going to be a futz anim, or futz sound. I'm not going to do a rumble for here. It's really up to you where you want to put them or whatnot. But I'm going to do weapon, Galil, futz. Then we're going to keep watching, and it seems to be at 64 is where it's going to do that. So we'll go with our rumble, 64, reload medium, another note track for a sound, frame 64, weapon, Galil, mag in. So then that's going to do that, and we're done. That's the reload. So we're going to do the same thing for the reload empty. So the reload empty is going to be the same, should be relatively the same notes as what we just set up here. So we're going to do a rumble. It was on frame 21. We went with a reload medium. So the reason why I'm able to do this is because the reload empties typically are just the same thing as the reload all the way up until it does a chamber and at the very end. So that's why I can probably get away with just copying these. Might have to adjust the frames just slightly. So weapon, Galil, mag, out. Then we had another sound, which was our futz, which is at 61. Wep, Galil, futz. And then it's 64 for the last one. So rumble, 64. And this one was reload medium. Sound, 64. Weapon, Galil, mag, in. Okay, so let's drag on the reload empty and just see if we're actually right about that. So 21, the mag came out. Yep. About 61 was the futz. 64 was the mag in. So I was right about those ones. And then now we got the chamber. So at 86, so we're going to add another note here. We're going to do a rumble at 86, and this one's going to be reload small because that's what we did for our bolts. So another one for sound on frame 86, and this one's going to be weapon, Galil, bolt, back, and then '95. We're going to do a new sound, 95. And we're going to go weapon, Galil, bolt, forward. There we go. So that is our note tracks done. That's it. As soon as you save those, your note tracks are going to be set up in game and whatnot. They're not going to be playing any sounds because we actually haven't done that yet. So I can actually get rid of this Maya scene now. So now we need the sounds. If I can get to my desktop, that would be lovely, Maya. I love how slow you are compared to Maya 8.5. Okay, so now I'm going to be going into Black Ops 2. I just clicked on Black Ops 3 because I know under common I have all my games here. So Black Ops 2, you're going to need to find your directory for this. It's usually programs 86 or wherever you've installed it onto. Steam apps, common, and then you're going to want to go whatever game you're going for. If you're going Black Ops 1, you can go in raw, sound, and get the sounds from there. A whole bunch of folders there of different sounds. You're going to have to look for those. But Black Ops 2 is in the sounds folder here, and what I'm going to have to do is use a sound tool. So this is a Black Ops 2 sound tool that I downloaded. I actually don't even know where I downloaded it from, to be honest. But you drag in an SABS or SABL file. So let's go ahead and try to find one of the files that would have the Galil. So my guess is Transit would have it. So they're going to call that one, actually Zombie All Might. Let's try zombie all. Nope, barely any sounds in that one. Barely any in that one. Okay, so not those. Common? Nope. English, common English, high rise, nuked. Would nuked have it? Nuketown? Let's try Nuketown. No, nothing really there. Classic transit. I wonder if they have a separate file for weapons. Ooh, this got a lot of sounds. Still loading. Weapon. Be nice if they had a search feature. Nope. Huh, checksums, awesome. Okay, we're looking for Galil. Okay, 47. Galil, Futz. We got some Galil stuff right here. Perfect. So let's export this. I'm gonna just put it into our, where's it, desktop, Galil. We're gonna make a new folder for the sounds. Okay, so I'm just, remember this is the Futz sound, like I was saying before, so I'm just gonna get rid of all that and just have it a WAV file. So that's good. We're gonna do the mag in. Mag out. Okay. I think that might be it for that, because they have weapon rifle distance. A lot of their like fire sounds are all relatively the same. If I don't find the Galil's fire sound, what I might have to do is go into, oh, they got more weapon stuff down here. It doesn't look like anything we need. Yeah, what I'm going to do is just get the sound, because the Galil's in Black Ops 1, so I'm going to get the fire sound from Black Ops 1, so raw, sound, I don't want to waste my time doing that anyways. Weapon, so it's going to be a rifle, or assault, that's what it'd be under. Galil, player, shot, so they have a whole bunch of shot sounds. I'm only going to bother with taking one of them, so let's go into our Galil folder, sound, and put it there. So I'm just going to rename this to Galil fire, Galil mag out. I'm just going to get rid of all this fly stuff. I don't like fly, it's kind of weird. Alright, so now the interesting thing is I now have to show you the Audacity side of things.
Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and just found some more sounds for our tutorial here. So you don't need to get all of these. Realistically, the only sounds you need to get are your fire sound, and these are called Foley Sounds, so these are anything done with the player movement. So if it's like a reload, a futz, a charge, charge is the bolt back. I looked it up, so I actually have an extra keyframe in the anim, but basically those are the only ones we really need. These are some extra ones, and I'm going to kind of go through them as well, but you don't need to do these. These are basically a distance, so it's like what you would hear off in the distance in third person. Dry fire, the sound that your gun makes when you're out of ammo. An LEF or LFE sound basically is like an underlying fire sound, so it kind of goes underneath the fire sound. Ring off, obviously, kind of like the ring off sound of the, like when you shoot, it kind of rings off a bit off of walls, it reverbs a bit. So we got those sounds as well. I kind of have, I had to kind of do a little, basically switching things up so I could open up Audacity in 2 windows so that I'm recording and then I can show you guys here. But basically what you're going to want to do is drag your sounds on individually. I'll have a link to Audacity down in the description, but basically you drag one on, make sure it's set to 48,000 hertz for the refresh rate, or the rate, that the playback rate for it, and then you're going to want to go to export audio and make sure it's set to a wave. I use sine 16-bit, and then just export it wherever you want, and then just make sure that you put it into your sounds assets, weapons, and then your weapon name. That's kind of the folder that I like to go with. So I go sound, or sound assets, that's provided for you under your Call of Duty root folder. Then I created this weapons folder, and then I create a folder for each weapon, and then I throw all my sounds in there. Foley, I just kind of made that just because the tutorial that I'm doing here, I like to have everything structured. So the fire sounds are going to be just here, and then the reload sounds are going to be under this folder called Foley. So that includes the mag out, mag in, futs, and then the chamber sound. So once you've done that to all your sounds, you've exported them, you've converted them into the right format, you can now start on to the sound alias portion of this. So I've actually gone ahead and done quite a bit of work on preparing a sound alias. This tutorial was actually supposed to be out last night or yesterday, but then I decided I wanted to make sure the sound aliases were set up properly and you guys could just easily implement them. So if you go to share raw sound, I'm going to provide you with a new template mod.csv. So you're going to want to go to share raw sound templates and put that in here. You can make a backup of your current one, just maybe call it _backup, and then it won't be called, just so you have it saved for later if you don't want to have this change in it. But basically what I've done, so you can just look at it, I've added all of this. What you currently have is this one template, which is just a basic template for sound. I've gone ahead and made a shot template, axe template, ring, a flux, reloads, third-person shots, so all these third-person stuff, pack-a-punch sounds. So these are just all templates so that you can use them in your note tracks. And then I've also, so once you've done that, you're going to want to back out to sound and go to aliases, and I'm going to provide you with this weapons alias, weapons.csv. So right now I've added the Galil, but I'm just going to get rid of this so I can show you what I did to do that. So this is going to be what you see in the weapons CSV. So basically I've gone through and commented, so this means a comment, all these pound symbols, the stuff at the top here are defining all the different columns. So the first thing is going to be the name, so you'll see the name of the alias, then it's behavior, I don't have anything under the behavior, then it's storage, I don't have anything there, and then it's the file spec. So this is the location of the file, weapons fire.wave. So you'll notice if I go to my sound assets, weapons, Galil, what I'm going to want to do is change this path for this fire sound to be this one. But since this is just a template here, and I comment this out, it's so you can easily implement this multiple times for a bunch of different weapons. So you can just copy and paste it down here and then just uncomment it. So you keep this line commented, the fire player, but this line uncomment, keep this one commented because it's just saying fire NPC, just telling you the third person sounds here. Oh, keep this one commented. So yeah, basically what you're going to want to do is, what I like to do for my sounds is go weapon underscore the weapon name underscore and then fire player, and then I change this directory to be the one for the Galil. So it's weapons Galil, and I called the sound fire. So this one's done. Then the ring off, which was this one here. So it's basically the same idea. I have them all named the same thing, and then I can just add my directory so that it knows, because I got dry fire, I got the ring off, it's all in that directory. This is basically looking for weapons Galil So weapons, Galil, and then the sound. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll kind of give you an explanation here in a second about what's going on. I don't have any pack-a-punch sounds for this test here, but I've included it if you guys want to go ahead and do that as well. So basically, what ends up happening here is, I'm going to go over the Foley one in a second, but I just want to explain what's happening with the multiples, because you only need to call the fire sound for each of these. You don't need to call any of this stuff or any of this stuff. Oh, dry fire you call. But basically, what ends up happening is you'll notice weapon Galil fire player. I have right here weapon fire ring F. So that's the ring sound. If you are not including the ring sounds or this LFE sound, then you can just remove this. You can just backspace, get rid of that. Make sure you don't mess up the commas. They need to be in the exact position. But this is the second alias position. So if you see where it says secondary, that's this line here. So if you went and counted through all the commas, it would get to this one. So basically what happens is when this sound is called, it will play this sound, and then it will also play this sound, which is the next line, which is the ring sound for in front of the player. So I've got that set up, and then you'll see this one's got a secondary sound, which will play the behind sound, which I actually named R, which should be B. And I'll switch that up here as well, just so when I do save this and send this to you guys, it's corrected. So B goes to here, and then basically this one calls the bass sweet one, which is right here, and then that's it. So it plays all four of those sounds. So that's basically the fire sound. But if you guys don't want to, if you guys just want to have the fire sound, you don't have to have these lines. You can get rid of them and get rid of the secondary alias right here, just like that. And then you're done for that. Dry fire, if you don't want to add it, you don't have to. Literally all you need is the fire sounds and the reload sounds. So we can do the same thing for the NPC. If you want to do the distant sounds, like if you have that, and if you have the dry fire sounds, you can keep those. But let's say you don't. You want to get rid of those lines, and then you're going to want to get rid of the secondary alias for weapon fire NPC. So that's this one right here, because it was the distant sound. So we'll get rid of that. Keep the commas all the same. Don't delete any of the commas. But now, so we have a weapon Galil fire player. So this is the sound that you hear in first person. There's no ring off. It's a two-dimensional sound. And then we have weapon fire NPC, which is a three-dimensional sound which has a fall off, so that if a player is further away from you, the sound gets quieter. And that's why I got all these templates and whatnot set up for this, so that it knows what type of sound it's supposed to be playing. And then lastly, we're going to be going over this Foley stuff. So we're going to have to create these lines right now. So if you notice, we have 4 different Foley sounds for our reloads. They're all going to be based off of this one line. So I'm going to create 4 lines using this one line. So we'll just go ahead and have our 4 lines here. So what I'm going to do is call this weapon Galil. The first one's going to be charge, because that's what we have here. Weapon Galil Futs. Weapon Galil mag in. And then finally, weapon Galil mag out. Okay. Then we got to change the path here to say what it's supposed to do. So it's weapons Galil Foley, and then Foley is what I had it as defaulted. So weapons Galil Foley, and it was the charge sound. So we want this to say charge. We want this to say futs. This one to say mag in. Just needs to be named the exact same thing as the sound. And mag out. So there we go. That's our charge sounds done. Or our Foley sounds done, sorry. The other thing that I want to kind of go over is that now that I've realized that my charge sound was different than what I named it in APE, because I was just guessing at that point, what I'm going to want to do is just make sure the names of my note tracks are exactly the same. So I'm going to go to first raise, because that was the first one that we did, and bring back up our sound alias. So the charge sound is when they pulled back the bolt. And that happened at the very beginning. So you'll notice I've already gone ahead and changed it here. I got rid of because we had bolt back and then we had bolt forward. I got rid of bolt forward because it was just all done in one sound, the charge sound. So I got rid of that sound and made sure it's spelt to this one. Then the reload sound, I don't think I had to change anything in here. It's still all the same, mag out, futs, and mag in. But then the reload empty, we had to change the chamber stuff as well. So I got rid of the bolt forward and changed bolt back to weapon Galil charge. So there we go. That is our sound set up. You can go into however amount of detail that you want for this. I'm going to provide you with this file, so it will have this comment at the top here, and you can just copy and paste. Anytime you want to add a new weapon, what I like to do is go create a new line here and create a comment, so a pound symbol, and then Galil. And then say I wanted to add a new weapon, I'd go pound symbol, say I was adding an M1911 or something like that. Then I could do that, copy some more lines, and add it down here and just start playing with this one. So it's just kind of keep it organized so you know that this section is going to be for the Galil, even though you can read it here. So that's it for the weapon CSV. Now we got to actually make sure our mod is calling this CSV. So go back to Call of Duty's root folder for Black Ops 3. I want you to go to your user maps folder and then go to whatever map that you're adding this to. Say for instance I'm doing this for my museum map. You're going to want to go to sound and then zone config, and then you're going to have this C file. I've already defaulted it, so like I right clicked on it, properties, made sure it would open with Sublime. I changed it here so it would be Sublime. Open it with whatever text editor you want. I'm using Sublime here. But basically what I've gone ahead and done is the same thing as my Claymores tutorial, and you can see this. If you guys have done my Claymores tutorial, it would be set up like this. If you haven't, it would be set up like this. So basically what I did is I copied a line like this. So you want to start from, so I like to copy the main user aliases one. So I start from the comma here and I go all the way up to the open brace. So you see how it opens the brace and then it closes here, open and then close, open and then close. But each closed one has a comma on it, so you want to select the comma all the way up to the open one, and that copies this entire call to the sound alias, the user aliases. This one would be for my Claymore sound alias. Let's say you don't have that there and we're adding a new one in. You would just create, you basically want to keep these last two lines, but you want to create a new line and then paste it in here. So I just copied this one and put it here. So after the comma here, we have ours, and then it ends with our comma, and then we got two lines here, a square bracket and a brace. So now we want to change this to our weapons CSV. So we'll name this to weapons, and then this to weapons. Oop. So there we go. And if say you wanted to do the Claymores one on top of that, you would rather before this one or after this one, you would add Claymores. This is assuming that you've done my Claymores tutorial. So there we go. You'll see it opens, closes here, comma, open, closes here, comma. So we got the Claymores calling, we got the weapons calling, and so now if you click link and you run your map, hopefully last time from the previous tutorial you have actually managed to get your gun into game. Quick thing I just want to go over really quick. Two things actually. The first thing is in, I believe, the first tutorial, when binding the actual mesh to the rig, to the joints and whatnot. I made a note in the video, but basically there are default settings apparently that I wasn't on default settings anymore. So the binding has set it to be, I'm just gonna go over this really quickly actually. The bind for it is actually set up to choose whatever vertice is closest to it instead of choosing whichever one you have selected, which isn't good because then your animations are going to look really weird. Like the different parts of the gun are going to, or parts of the arms, parts of the gun are going to be pulled by the wrong thing. So the animation will be messed up. So to fix that, I put a note at when you get to the point of exporting the models. Basically, what ends up happening, or not exporting, but binding the joints, what you end up having to do is setting it up so that the bind smooth, there's a square box beside that you can select, which will bring up some advanced settings for the bind settings, and you want to change them to be exactly the way I have them here. One second, I'll go grab you Maya's being very slow today. Very slow. Okay. Oh my god, it's still loading. This is why I hate Maya. It's just garbage program in my opinion. But anyways. So let's say you were binding, I know we're in our rig 1, but I just wanted to explain that like these are going to be bound to tag weapon. So you would have been doing this in your actual your view model rig or view model Maya file, not in the rig 1. So this is before you drag it onto this to bind it here. So this was on the first tutorial. So what you were end up doing is so you see how J-bolt is bound to this. Yours might have been pulling a whole bunch of other stuff with it. So what you want to do is when you're going to bind, you want J-bolt, and then whatever part was your bolt, it was this one. So then we went J-bolt and had these two selected by holding control and selecting the two. You were under rigging, you wanted to go skin, and I just said bind skin. Well, you want to click on the square beside it so you can change the settings so they look exactly like this, and then you can hit apply and it will save those settings for you, and then you can hit bind skin. So then that way you'll be with these settings forever, which is good, unless you change them. But basically that allows you to bind it to whatever you're selecting instead of like whatever's closest to the actual mesh. So that fixes that issue. The other issue I wanted to go over was when exporting the anim model, I forgot to mention you were supposed to change JGun to tag weapon. So right before you export the anim model in the I believe it was the start of the second tutorial, you want to change JGun to tag weapon. So that'll fix that issue for you. That was the issue where the guns were like all the parts were like flying everywhere, so it looks like your guns exploded into like a bunch of pieces. That fixes that issue. Alright guys, so that's it for kind of going over the issues with the previous tutorials. Sorry about that. There's just so much to cover that, and I've got default settings and you kind of missed something here or there. But anyways, we have our sounds done now, so if you compile and you go into game, your sounds should work. So long as you've done this correctly, your note tracks are good. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to go over, which was to get your fire sounds to actually play off the gun. You want to go to your weapon file, let's say our Galil here, and come all the way down to the sounds here. So you only have to do this for the fire sounds and the dry fires. So basically, under fire, this is going to be your NPC sound. So if we have our note tracks back up here, you'll notice we have our NPC sound, which I put right here for fire. Then fire player is our fire player sound. So this is this one right here that you want to put here. Don't really need to play too much with this, but empty fire sound are going to be your dry fire sounds. That's if you have them. Those are the sounds that the gun makes when you don't have ammo in the gun, and it makes a little click noise as if your player was pulling the trigger and there was no round going off. But anyways, that is how you set up the fire sounds. The note track set up the Foley sounds, so that should be everything for sounds. So basically just select your map, link, build, and then you can jump in game and you should have your sound for your gun. I hope this tutorial helps you guys out. I'll probably be going over some mystery box stuff next time. Maybe some wall weapon stuff, so how to get the guns in the box, how to get the guns on the wall, and stuff like that. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.